All right, you've made it to lesson 19. Only 3 more lessons to go after this one. Things also really start to get complicated, so if you've been lost up and even before this point, it's going to get way worse. So I'm going to try my best to talk you through these lessons to make sure that all of your questions are answered and you at least know how to perform the basic functions that they're asking you to do. This lesson covers functions as a way to organize their code, make it readable, and remove repeated blocks of code. The class learns that higher level or more abstract steps make it easier to understand and reason about steps, then begins to create functions in GameLab. At the end of the lesson, the class uses these skills to organize and add functionality to the final version of their side-scroller game. So we're going to be going back to our frog hopping over the mushroom, which once again, if you didn't complete the first time, it's not going to have any code now. So go back to previous lessons and make sure that that's done if you haven't already. So this little video here, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and watch. It introduces functions and kind of explains what functions are, how they're called, how they're defined, what's the purpose of them, and it's going to go over some of those things. So it's on YouTube. Go ahead and watch it. We're not going to watch it together here. You can listen to me instead. So functions let you build your own blocks and decide what code goes inside of them. This program has already created 2 functions, but only one of them is being called. So what you're going to do is call the second function to reveal the full image. Use the function that is being called as a guide. Just as with all other blocks, spelling and capitalization are important here. And in fact, I've already done this, so we're going to go back to start over so that you can see on my screen what you're going to see on your screen. So you can see here, draw sky is what is calling the function. You can tell the difference between a definition and a call when we're talking about functions. The definition has these little curly brace. Well, actually, you can't see it very well here in the workspace. But if we go to, oh wait, not that one. If we go to show text, this little curly brace here is going to say this is the start of the function. It also has the word function in front of it. So if it says function and then it has the name of the function, that's the definition of the function, where you are defining, you are saying, when this function is called, do this code. And so then to call the function, all you do is you put the name of the function, you put the parentheses afterwards, and then a semicolon at the end of the line, just like it shows here with draw sky. So as we run this, the sky is drawn. You can see that there's no stroke. We have a background with this blue color here, and then we do a fill of yellow, and we draw this ellipse over here in the upper right to make this sun. So then, draw balloons is another function, and this is the one that we need to call. So right here, this is defining the function, because it says function and then it has the name of the function. So in order to call the function, we need to go to functions. You see, this is the definition here, and this is the call. So we're going to call the function, and the function that we are going to call is draw balloons. And once we rerun it, then it will draw those 4 different colored balloons. Well, 3 different. There's 2 reds. 4 different balloons with the lines for the strings that are gonna come down. And so that's what this is showing with the line and the ellipse at the top, and it's changing the fill for what color it's gonna put those. If you wanted to, you could change the second one from red. Instead of making it red, you could make it green, and then you would have 4 different colored balloons instead of 3 balloons and repeat red. So there you have it. All you have to do is call the function there, and hopefully you're able to see the difference between defining a function and calling the function. And we'll look just at this next one before we end this video. So placing code inside functions makes it easier to read and make changes. Good names for functions indicate what your program is doing to a reader. You can call your functions in a different order to quickly make changes on how your program runs. So this program has created four functions that draw parts of a scene. Unfortunately, it's not coming out right. So you're going to read the functions, determine what they do, and then make sure they are being called in the correct order. So let's see what it is this looks like. Call in the order that is best to you. Actually, let's go to, we'll start over. We'll see what it looks like when it hasn't been tampered with by Mr. Twining 5 months ago. Okay. So, none of them. That's it. All right, I already created four functions that draw parts of the scene. Unfortunately, it's not coming out right. So read the four functions and then call the functions in a order that draws the scene the way that looks best to you. So we have nothing here that is being called. It's all just defined. So we have a draw background, we have draw trees, we have draw clouds, and we have draw fence. So you get to determine in which order these get to be called. Now, the cool thing about calling the function is you can do it whenever. You can call the function before the function is defined. You can call it after it's defined. As long as the function is defined somewhere in the program, it doesn't matter when you call it. So if I go through and I want to call my draw background first, so I just type in draw background. So I took my function, the function here, and I've called it, and it will draw my background. So I get a nice blue sky and this green rectangle at the bottom for the kind of grass. So then you've got three other functions. You need to determine what order you want to do those in. So you got the trees, you've got clouds, you've got the fence. So you do this in the order that you think makes sense to you. So remember that when you call these in order, it draws the new thing on top of the old one. So that's why we did the background first. So then if we want the clouds to be behind the trees, then we're going to draw the clouds first. So if I can put my hands on the keyboard correctly, draw clouds, which would be this one here. And then we're going to draw the trees. And then finally, we'll have the fence out in front and draw fence. And there we go. There's our beautiful scene. So you can change the order that you want as long as all four things get called in the end. And so hopefully this introduction has given you an idea as to the difference between defining a function and calling a function, and that you can define code inside the function. We, of course, have been using the draw function for quite some time now, and that's a function that just gets called by default when the program starts. So we're going to end this introduction. If you know what you're doing, then continue on. If you need some more help with these other lessons, then I'll be putting some additional videos up to help you out.